Oh, yeah. So in mentioning the Kwame Brown dude, shout out to him. See, he talked about my interview with Marquise, and he had a great I ain't gonna say great, but he had his perspective on it. And really y'all, good looking, appreciate it. He had his perspective on it, and his perspective on it is kind of one of my own. If you've been through child support, you know, and you've been through it just because of fame, then it hits a little different. You know what I'm saying? Um, so he talked about me and Marquise, going back and forth, and I haven't really talked about it yet because I'm kind of chilling to wait to 50 and them come off tour because I know that they're going to address it. So I'm going to wait until 50 and them address it. And then I'm going to address it full on. And I'll probably go through the whole interview and address it piece by piece. But right now, I want to let 50 say his half on it because I got one side of the story. So I don't really want to have a whole commentary on it until 50 come and see him. Because I did see some an interview that 50 did, and he talked about, why he doesn't have a relationship with his son. But one thing that 50 said that put me at ease in my situation, he said, how do you love something or someone that don't love you back? And I'm not going to say that statement solved my hurt or my pain. It just, it was like an aspirin to my pain, trying to, understand or figure my kids out, right? So when he says, you know, because the person asked him, I can't remember what it was, but they asked me, like, yo, so you don't love your son? And he's like, how do you love something that don't love you back? And I'm not saying I don't know if my kids love me or not. I'm gonna say, of course, all our kids love us. Maybe, maybe not. But some of the way they actions, sometimes they make you question it, and it does hurt as a father when your kid don't give a f about you, and you've been there for them, and it don't matter if you been the best parent, because what is the best parent? What is the best father? What is the best mother? All we could do is try to give our best. But you can't, shit, Michael Jordan lost games and they said he was the best player. LeBron James ain't seen the championship in I don't know how many years. And they say he's the best player. All you could do is give your best. So when 50 say, how do you love something that don't love you back? That was like a woosah comment for many a men that the mother turns the kid against them. And a lot of y'all women be out here, I don't turn the kid against them. I don't do. Yes, the hell y'all do. Y'all do it. A lot of y'all women don't want to own up to it. I asked at least one woman to come on here and talk about, how they turned they children or child against the parent and saw that it had an effect and regret it. That was like 2 weeks ago. I asked somebody to hit me up and be a woman about it and come on here and talk about it, be real about it. Not one woman hit me up to do it. As much as we know that y'all women do that shit, y'all do it. My man, I ain't gonna even say his name, but rest in peace to him. It was a brother that I was going through the child support thing with at the same time. And we kind of leaned on each other because it is a very stressful situation. Like for me, like one day I just go to the bank to get some money, then bam, my goddamn account is frozen. And then I go to tell them, I'm like, yo, like I got money in here. What's going on? Oh, there's some type of hold on your account. Then I go and find out it's child support. You know what I'm saying? That's just trauma in itself. That one day I go to the bank and now I can't even go buy a slice of pizza. I can't pay a bill because they froze my account because I look up and they filed for child support and I ain't even know. And it wasn't even no conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, so my man and I, like, it got to the point where, like, for me, I'm working and I got to save up 5 checks just to pay my rent. When I could just pay my rent in one check. But the child support is banging my check so crazy for the 2 payments that my check is like 200 and something dollars from 2 grand. So after the taxes and the garnishments and the child support, I'm left with like 200 something dollars. My rent is like a stack. So I got to save 5 checks to pay my rent. By the time I save the 5 checks, the lights get cut off or my phone get cut off. And then I'm back trying to catch up. And it is a constant rotation of stress. You know what I'm saying? And then the the constant court dates, you know, and thank God I had, bosses at BET that understood, like at the time, um, the court system and child support, whatever, because all those court dates, you could lose your goddamn job taking off or coming to work late because you got to go to court. And they were just very sympathetic to my situation. But child support can make you lose your job for missing work going to court. So my guy, like, I don't want to say his name. I ain't going to say his name. But my guy's a talented guy, strong guy, kickboxer champion, right? Like I said, we held each other up, right? Now, he went through the same thing I went through. My baby mother being so controlling, it was, yo, you better leave your girlfriend or you ain't going to see your daughter. And one time I did that. I left one of my girlfriends because I got tired of crying in the bathroom. I would go in the bathroom and cry because I couldn't see my daughter and shit. And my girl would never know. So my ex, she would get jealous because, like, one time I took my daughter to King's Dominion with my girlfriend, and we took a picture together. And my daughter had the picture of us three together. And oh my God, that infuriated her so mad, so bad. Oh, she thinks she her mother. Y'all think y'all look cute with my daughter. Just dumbass shit, immature shit. So I got to, it was a lot of that. Oh, you can't see her, or not taking my calls, or I can't pick up. So I just got frustrated with that shit. And I went and filed for a visitation. I went to child support court and filed for visitation. And fellas, if she's not letting you see your child, nigga, I know we don't like the courts. You're not going to go to jail if you go and walk in the court building and you go ask them, how do you file for visitation, and fill out the paperwork and subpoena her for visitation, and then you get your visitation. She cannot tell you you cannot see your child. Don't be too cool or too gangster to go in the courthouse and file for visitation, especially if you're paying child support. If you're paying child support, or go file for visitation, you will see your child. Don't let her tell you you cannot see your child and you're paying child support. You ain't got to be paying child support. If she's not letting you see the child, go to court and file for visitation. That's all you got to do. All right. One day out your life, I don't care if it take you 3 hours in the courthouse, it's worth it. In my situation, I went and filed for visitation. And when I walked out the courtroom, I see my baby mother's best friend. And my dumbass tells her, yeah, your friend won't let me see my daughter. I just filed for visitation. That same week, my baby mother moves to Chicago with my daughter. Before I could even subpoena her, she just upped up, grabbed, and I wasn't smart enough then to go to the court and be like, yo, judge, she left. She found out, because they would have made her bring her ass back. But I wasn't smart enough, still in the street. But I would call it. If I was ran my mouth, this is why I don't talk about shit until the ink is dry. That was definitely one of my things, that you don't talk about shit and let people know what you're doing. Her girlfriend went right into her. My daughter has never lived in New York since. She moved to Chicago, and then she moved to a different state. And my daughter has never been in New York for that reason only, just so she can hurt me and create a distance between us. And it worked, because the greater distance that she get, it created a greater distance for me and my daughter in relationship, and me being there for her, whatever. Even when my daughter lived in the city and I wanted to pick her up from school, she didn't put me on the birth certificate because she told me she wanted to get welfare. So I didn't sign the birth certificate, or she didn't allow me to sign the birth certificate because she wanted welfare. Fellas, sign the birth certificate. Now, she could be telling my daughter all kind of bullshit why my name ain't on the birth certificate. But I know for a fact, my family know, I wasn't signed, because she lied and told me she didn't know who the father was, just so she could get just so she could get welfare. My hand of God to my dead father. That's the only reason my name wasn't on the birth certificate, is because the woman said she wanted to get welfare. And she couldn't get it if I signed it. So she told me she didn't know who the father was. Now, being young and in the streets of drug dealing, this, that, and other, you're not thinking about this in the future. Yo, she's gonna use that. So I can't walk into fucking school and pick up my daughter. Because my name ain't on the fucking papers. Y'all young niggas better learn from us. You're not gonna know this type of stuff unless you ask. So getting back to my man, me being so frustrated and and angry about bank accounts being frozen, checks getting garnished, going to goddamn housing court every goddamn 6 to 9 months so I don't get evicted. That goddamn game, I thank God I was living in New York because they just can't kick you out like that. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to welfare and get a one-shot deal because my rent was so backed up from the child support shit that I was going to get evicted. That welfare gave me, they got this thing where they call a one-shot deal, right? Where they will pay your rent, your back rent for you. You know what I'm saying? And they only do this like one time. That's why it's called like a one-shot deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm to the point where my baby mom's about to get me evicted. Like they got me so, and I'm begging them like to stop it. They don't give a fuck, right? So and this is where my man and us we talk to each other and to keep each other from breaking, letting these women break us mentally. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't broke us financially. So you going back, I'm going back and forth to court, child support, court, housing, court, this, that, and other, because the apartment's in my name. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no choice. I ain't got no, I'm not going to live with my mother back in the projects. Like, I'm going to fight this shit out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to go sell drugs. I'm not going to go rob and steal. I'm going to keep praying to God to get me through this shit. And I'm just going to keep working hard. And I'm just going to eat the things that's cheap to help me survive. I'm going to live below my means. I'm going to do whatever I got, but I'm not going to let this woman break me. You know what I'm saying? I'm already broke that I can't see my daughter. I can't spend time with her. You know what I'm saying? That shit already broke me. They already moved out of state to state. You know what I'm saying? And even when they went to wherever state they were, I still went and visited. I didn't give up. You know what I'm saying? But that one, thank God for that one shot there. And I'm sure there's plenty of people in New York. A lot of women go through this. Not too many men are gonna will have the pride to say that they've been through that shit. You know what I'm saying? Me, I ain't got no pride to say that I've been through that shit. I'm happy to say that I overcame that shit. And the reason why I'm telling y'all all this to say, to make a long story short, or make a long story longer, is my man killed himself. And I feel partially guilty because I was his crutch, he was mine. And I went on a trip and I went on a trip and I ain't speak to him for a few days. I come back from the trip and I'm calling him, calling him. This thing ain't answering. I'm like, damn, man, what the fuck? Now, what happened to him was what happened to me. They put us in this program. I think it was called like this the STEP program or STAT program or whatever and shit, the STEP program, whatever it is. But you got to go to this office every day and look for a job from 9 to 5. And you got to sign in, click in. You got to go there every day. So you ain't got no other side hustles. And if you're not working, you got to go and do this shit, right? until you find a job, and then they gotta watch you do this. And if you don't find a job, they threaten you with jail. They send you to jail. You gotta do 6 months in jail. So at the time, I was working at BET, and one of the dudes at BET he's a homosexual. And they told me, yo, Choke, you're not gonna last here. This guy walks around the office in the dress. As soon as he find out you an alpha male, nigga, you out of here. And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. They was right. The situation happened. This white woman was lying on me, and I checked her. And my check-in, scared him. He's like, oh, he's so manly. They got rid of me for that reason, right? It wasn't my work. It was nothing. It was just that I was being a man, right? So I lose the job. I go back to court. They like, oh, you not working? Lock them up. Boom. Locks me up. Say, yo, $5,000 or 6 months in jail. I'm like, $5,000 or 6 months in jail. Yeah, $5,000, 6 months in jail. All right, I'll be back. No, right now. What do you mean right now? Right now. Give us 5,000 right now, or you go to jail. I ain't got no 5,000. Click, click, click. They locked me up right there. I even had a lawyer. I got a paid lawyer, this, that, and the other. They was not trying to hear that lawyer. The lawyer ain't even charged me because they was like, this is personal. This ain't got nothing to do. This is personal. Ain't nothing I can do. Boom. Lock me up. I'm like, they ain't getting $5,000. I'll do the 6 months. 3 weeks later, I'm in there. I'm in the kitchen. I done got comfortable. I done took over the house. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, say, like, when I'm a young nigga, I'm checking niggas. I'm like getting in drama and like I'm balling and like I'm institutionalized like this back. Like, boom. I'm like, oh, I gotta get the fuck out of here. They got their 5,000. The next day was my daughter's graduation. I get out, 5,000. That money goes straight to them, right? Rent a car, everything. Go drive down to my daughter's graduation. And when I get there, she says, "What are you doing here?" Oh, so y'all could take all my money and pay for college, but I'm not invited to the fucking the graduation? What am I doing there? Can never tell you how fucking much that shit hurted, right? Boom. Get back to my man. I go looking for him, right? I go to his apartment. I walk in the building. There's police tape all over the door. And a sticker on there to say some shit. I forgot what it said. My heart dropped. I started knocking on all the neighbors' doors. All right, answering. Go downstairs, the bottom floor, knocking on the door. Somebody finally answered. Yo, I'm gonna say his nigga name. You know the guy up in apartment so and so? What happened? Like, what's all this tape on his door? I was out of town, that's my good friend. And he said, yeah, man, he barricaded himself in an apartment and killed himself, shot himself in the head. Why? Because the same thing that happened to me. His baby mother took his daughter and moved to Houston. Just left and wouldn't let him see his daughter. Then took him to child support. And they said he had to go turn himself in to go to jail. And instead of him going to jail, like I said, this nigga was not no fucking punk. Like this nigga was a kickboxing champion. Like he was nice with his hands. Nobody could beat him. From our conversations, me knowing how much he loves his daughter, like as much as I love my daughters. I'm just a little bit headstronger because I've probably been through a lot more in the streets than him. And I've seen, death and all this shit, 10 times over. So I'm kind of built a little bit different. But my man killed himself because, and I know it was over because he couldn't see himself because he just kept saying he couldn't live without his daughter and I'm other thing. But the fact that he had to go to jail, on top of paying and making the payments, and still couldn't see his daughter, and he had to go to jail for that shit. I'm willing to bet that was why he killed himself. Because I'm telling you, for me to go to jail, like I'm not killing myself. For one, that's just the ultimate sin. But when you know that you've been the best father you can, and that your child's been manipulated, and it ain't even no telling what they've been told, but the fact that they don't love you no more or show no concern about you at all, that shit make a lot of dudes very emotional and bugged out. And the women know it because you may not love her no more, but you're never gonna fall out of love with that child of yours. You're not. You're never gonna fall out of love with that child. And that child is, forever your love. You know what I'm saying? You might not love the woman no more, but you're not gonna not love your child. And when my man killed himself, I knew how much he loved his child. And I know that when they threatened him with jail, even though it was 6 months, and for me, I was like, you know, I put an H on my chest and I'm gonna handle it. Did I like being in there? No. Did I like having to defend myself and you know damn near beat a nigga ass in there? And I'm in here for I'm not even in here for a crime. No, I didn't like it. But I wasn't gonna let these bitches break me. Shit, I had 2 jobs in that bitch in 3 weeks. I was on there for 3 weeks. You know who came to see me? My mother. My mother was the first person to come and see me. And I'm like, yo, don't send me no money. I'm going to work for it here. 25 cents an hour. I don't care. Don't send me no money. Like, I'm not going to let these women break me. But I'll never forget my man. Barricaded himself in there and killed himself because he'd rather been dead than not to be able to see his child and go to jail for that shit. And this has been what? Been about 6 years since he's been dead, probably. 6 years. That's 6 months. He would have did that 6 months and been all right. But that's what that shit it can make people suicidal. Like I said, I ain't never think about killing myself. I might have some wicked thoughts, but I wasn't going to kill myself. You know what I'm saying? And that's like I cried. I don't know how long I cried when that man killed himself. And our relationship was like a new relationship, but our bond became tight over the child support. And only if you, like myself, and you experienced it, or you experienced your child turning against you, and you didn't like abuse them or done anything that is to the point where they should never talk to you, you kind of wonder, like, what is it that women can do to turn their children against them? And I say all this because, the Kwame Brown dude, like when he talk about it, he has the passion and the anger that I used to have from it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't, would talk. The whole reason for me talking to Marquise was trying to get a better understanding so I can try to figure out my situation and make it better. But now talking to him and seeing how he's manipulated, and if you listen to him, he don't sound like a dude. He sounds like he talks from the perspective of a woman. And talking to him, I ain't gonna say it made me give up hope on my children. It just helped me understand that your kid can hate you, or your kid can be manipulated to hate you, even if you didn't do anything worthy of them hating you. You know what I'm saying? But when 50 said, "How do you love something that don't love you back?" That shit put me at peace. That put me at peace because if they don't love you, or they don't show you love, or they don't project love to you, they don't call or check on you, then you should not feel any way. You should feel at ease. That was a comforting statement for me. If they don't love you, because I got a homeboy, you know, who has a child that's like that, and their motto is "fuck them." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I did all this, I did that, I raised them in. F them. And I'm like, damn, can you say F your kid? And you're like, yeah, you can say F your kid. If they say F you, F them. But 50 said it in a more mature way. Like, yo, if they don't love you, how do you love them back? Or how do you love something that don't love you? That is something that makes me like, I get it. Stop focusing on it. Stop fighting to have a relationship. If they don't rock with you, they don't rock with you. But if you know that you did your best work, and we fight with our kids, we argue with our kids, we may say things that we don't mean, but forgiveness is something that all people should have or should try. And if they can't forgive, then it's probably is best for you to move on. Because like, even when I was talking to his son, I'm like, you don't miss your pops, you don't want a relationship with him, And it's like no forgiveness. And then it's not of forgiveness because, yo, my father was whipping my ass to the point where I could. It's like money. Money. You fell out over them with the mothers over what? Money. Money. Can't see your kid if you don't have money. So rest in peace to my man, but I will never forget how he used to always talk about his daughter being down in Houston. That's that's crazy, man. Because you know what? His daughter's never gonna know that her father killed himself because her mother wouldn't let him see him. She'll tell the daughter some bullshit. Oh, your father was crazy. He was suicidal. Or what? No, he killed himself because you fucking moved to Houston and wouldn't let him see his daughter, and he was going to jail for child support, which was only 6 months. You know what I'm saying? But that you could do 6 months and then get locked up again for another 6 months because you wasn't making no payments. But the fact that you left New York and moved to Houston and would not let him see his daughter over fucking money that he didn't have. Sometimes it's rough for us black men out here. Sometimes it's rough for us. Sometimes we don't have money. Sometimes we can't get jobs. Sometimes we fall on hard times. But it don't cost shit to take your kid to the park and push him on the swing. You ain't got no money, you can't see kid. Like, let me move on, man. Cause it bothers me. Cause he see me cry from missing my kids, and I've seen him cry from missing his kids, missing his daughter. You know what I'm saying? You know what that shit is to have see grown men sitting around talking about having what's the word I'm looking for? Having in common that they haven't seen a child in X amount of weeks, months, years. You know that there's men that sit around and have that shit in common, that they haven't seen a child because of the mother won't let them, not because they don't want to, because the mother won't let them. Do you know that there's men that sit around and have that conversation and have that in common and be in tears? I swear to you, grown men sit around and have conversations about when the last time they seen a child. And it be some angry conversations. Some of y'all women, y'all fucking heads be on the chopping block with some of these niggas. And niggas consult each other. Black men, I don't want to keep saying niggas, but black men consult each other from doing dumb shit. On the sake of not being able to see their kid because They fucking broke. Like we can't fall on hard times. We can't fall on hard times. We fall on hard times. We can't see our kids. Children have become meal tickets. From the gold diggers down. Let me get off this. Let me change the vibration for a minute. Let me change the vibration for a minute. But yeah, rest in peace to the homie. Like I said, I don't want to say his name and all that, because a lot of people know him, and those who know who I'm talking about know who I'm talking about. But social media is ill. Niggas will be dragging his baby mother right now if they knew who she was. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna move on.